the way that we started class by downloading that folder and swapping it out. Is everybody able to do that? You were?
Oh yeah, I was able to do it. I was
Question?
making sure. The certain folders are supposed to be integrated.
Which folder? So you should have pasted in the ERPLab version 5, basically into your plugins folder for EEGLab. Did everybody do that? Did anybody not do that? Okay, I'm assuming that everyone has, and we'll start working with MATLAB. So open up your MATLab.
Oh, things like GitHub. What I just,
I'm sorry?
things like GitHub. I'm under the ERPLab file.
Yeah, you're not going to need to okay, so everyone has MATLAB open, we can start. And what's the, so has everybody basically made sure you had your path set already? Right, so we can check that, okay? Let's see here, I should have this projected. No, it's not. There we go, okay. So, you can check to see that you have your path set by just clicking the path and making sure that within your search paths, it includes your desktop Site 433X in the EEGLab folders. So make sure you have that. If you don't, you could hit add with subfolders and navigate to that. But this was all stuff we did last couple classes ago, so I'm assuming that everyone's good. Don't do it twice. You don't need to add your path twice. Okay. So you have that. Now what we ought to be able to do is you can either type in EEGLab or you can click on that little shortcut that we created last class. Either way works. Let's do that and open up the EEGLab GUI. You guys remember GUI stands for Graphic User Interface? Okay. So we're going to have this graphic user interface. Now, does anybody not have this? Okay, but wait. So, is that not working for you, Logan? Well, yeah.
My path isn't set right. It's not right because hers looks like this too.
Okay. So, what we do, you want to say the path, right? So all you do is go add your subfolders. And you're going to navigate to wherever your EEGLab is. Here. Grab that, take it back. Just kill your add value. You want to first just put this back into it. So put it in Site 433X. And then you want to go into there. This is what the instructions are saying. So come in here, don't go in. 6. Yep, just, and then go to your ERPLab 5. And you should have had a few series up here. Yep, take that and drop it into, paste that into the plugin so that you can drag it. You can drag it in there, and then put it back in there now. Just go in there, and have it drop it in into the plugin. No. Now you should be able to come here, go to add subfolders, navigate back up to there, just click that folder, just click done. Open it. There you go, that's it. Then just hit no and just for some reason it just doesn't say free, just have to do that. It'll work for you just when you restart MATLAB each time. You just have to take that's all it takes on the second. Okay. Picture, question.
I'm just having to reactivate.
Okay. And it looks like you give me try and see if you're yeah. I mean, that's what we said. Just verify that. So, you can have it there. You're fine. Yes, Ron. Okay, anybody else? Questions, problems? Something not working over here? Oh, okay, cool. Well, we can do the shortcut later. Let's just do what we gotta do for class. The shortcuts are just a little extra stuff that we can do later, but okay. So, everybody's good? Cool. So what we can do now is start to work with some of the data. Okay, now, you might remember that last time, some people had some errors trying to import the PDF files. Right? Some of you guys did? So that tends to happen, you guys had like out-of-memory errors. Sometimes that might happen if you're on 32-bit versions of Windows. Other times it might happen if you have other big processes running in the background. We're going to avoid that this time. We're just going to import a different type of data. Okay? And so all we're going to do is we're going to navigate to File. Okay? And we're going to go Load Existing Data Set. Okay? Now that'll bring us some options because we should have basically been our file path or our directory in this menu earlier. Our address should have been set such that we can navigate within our folder to data to EEG. And why don't we just grab number 32? It's going to be a big long name, but it's 32 re-referenced to the mastoid 0.1 Hertz high pass and 256 Hertz dot set. If you grab that, it'll load that data. Now what that big long name is it's telling us what was done to the data. Now, do you guys remember this from last week when we were starting to work on this? The first step that we do with raw data, those PDF files, and we imported it. And the first thing that we did is we want to re-reference that data to the average of our two mastoids back here. So that's what we do. And when we do it, I like to make sure that we always use good naming of the files. That way, like now, when we grab a file, we know exactly what's been done to it. So by looking at the name, it tells us it's subject number 32. It has been re-referenced to the mastoids. Great. Then remember the next thing that we did after that, importing that data, was we applied that high pass filter to account for the drift, right? It's basically a linear detrend of the data. And so this tells us that this data has already had a 0.1 hertz high pass filter already applied to it. Okay? So I've already done this stuff for you. I'm trying to like set you up so it's hopefully nice and easy and straightforward. Okay? The next thing that was done is we downsampled the data. So this is at 256 hertz. You guys remember we did that last class? So all that's been done already in this file, and so now we can just open it for you. Okay, so why don't we grab that file and open it. Okay, so we can point out a couple of pieces of information that it tells us about the file. Okay? It tells us how many channels per frame. Now in this case, channels means electrode size. You have 38. And we'll talk about why that is. Basically, you have your 32 main sites from the 1020 system. And then you've got your two mastoids, and you've got a handful of your eye electrodes that add to create 38. Okay? So 2 mastoids plus 32 is 34, right? Then VEOG, VEOG, HEOG, and HEOG. It's 4 more, 38. We have one long epoch. You guys remember what an epoch is? So what this tells us is that there's one long EEG recording. It's not sliced and diced yet into different ERPs. Okay? So you have one epoch of 900 events, because we had 300 trials when something came on the screen and in which somebody said an item memory judgment and a source memory judgment. Okay? So that's 900 things in terms of codes that were sent into the data as events. It tells us our sampling rate is at 256 hertz, and it tells us our reference electrodes are the left mastoid and the right mastoid. It tells us one thing right off the bat, that we do not have channel locations labeled. Okay? So, let me just show you a little bit about what that might mean for us. So let's go to plot channel data scroll. We'll bring up the data. Okay? Now what we want to do is we can see that it tells us all these features of each of these EEG traces of what site they're from. So you remember you labeled that earlier on the VEOG, and we labeled it on the HEOGs. Okay? It tells us what the name of all these sites are, but the computer system does not yet know the coordinates on the scalp that they are actually at. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to load channel location information. Okay? So I'll show you how to do that.
How did you get here again? I looked in like over.
In plot channel data scroll. Now you don't have to do that now because we're going to do something else first, but this is how you did that.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Plot channel data scroll. Okay. Now what we're going to do first though is add our channel locations. So the first thing we can do is come to Edit, click on Channel Locations. Okay? So why don't we give that a shot? And it's going to bring up a little option here. Okay? You're going to click these 3 dots. What that basically means is browse. We want to go navigate to our own file that tells us the location of our electrodes. Okay? Does everybody see this on the screen? I should say this the other way. Does anybody not see this on the screen? Okay, everybody click on that. And let us browse. And what we're going to do is we're going to navigate back up to site 433X and go in the folder for scripts. And within scripts, we're going to click the option for electrode locations. Okay? Now, let's see here. I know that the one with 40 will work. Why don't we do that? Okay? Let's grab the one that says 40 electrodes dot CED. Hit OK. And then hit OK on this option. It'll bring up a really crazy screen that looks like this. Okay, you don't have to worry about much of these details. What it does though, in case any of you guys are curious, this tells us our X, Y, and Z coordinates. So remember X, Y, and Z is our 3 dimensions? When we want to plot our 3-dimensional heads and stuff like that for our maps, we need to know where each electrode is in our 3-dimensional representation. So for every electrode, in this case it's FP1, it tells us our X, Y, and Z coordinate and all that kind of anatomical location. That's all this is. We don't have to do anything with it. It's really easy. All we're going to do is we're going to pull it up just a little bit. So drag that up so that you can see that now it says OK down here. That's all you have to hit. Super easy, right? Okay, cool.
Just hit okay.
Just hit OK. Okay. Can anybody not do that? Awesome. Easy, right? Okay, cool. One thing down. Now, let's see. What we can do is we can want to move our one epoch. We want to move that one epoch into 300. Why?
It's easier to break it down and look at it.
It is easier to break it down, but why do we want to slice it into 300 trials? Because that's what we have, right? We have 300 things that we want to look at. So, excuse me. Let's look at how that next step happens. So, let's see here. I'm going to so remember, the first thing we did, right? We opened MATLAB. We made sure that we had path set. And then we opened EEGLab. And then we load data. Right? Everybody remember all these steps we took? Okay? So later on, once I'm done sort of walking us through and showing you guys what our steps are for a couple sample subjects, you guys are going to be responsible for doing this to process a lot of your research data and all your subjects. Okay? So it's important that you know these steps. So I'm trying to write down so we know that the sequence that they are done in is very important. So if you do the sequence wrong, then it might not work out right. In fact, it's probably guaranteed not to work out right. So this is our sequence. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what do we do after we loaded the data? So this first thing that we just did to the data.
The final location.
Yeah, we wanted to basically add channel locations. So this is the next thing we did. So add channel locations. And we did that by virtue of within scripts, folder, it was within channel locations, and we actually had it so that the file was 40 electrodes. DOS. Okay, so that was our fifth. Right? Now, I'm going to add a little parentheses, a little bracket in between 4 and 5 here, which is that we basically re-referenced the data. We also had a high-pass filter. And we also downsampled to 256 hertz. Okay? So we'll put that in there, a little 4.5. Because I did that for you guys already, but that's what you would normally do. Okay? So again, we opened MATLAB, we set the path. We opened EEGLab by typing EEGLab. Okay, we loaded our data. Right, went to File, Load Data. That data was already re-referenced, had a high-pass filter applied to it. It was downsampled to 256 hertz. Okay, then we added our channel locations. That's where we are right now. Okay, see here it says channel locations. Now it says yes. So we're going through all these steps because, at least some of the early ones, we know that there was artifacts in the data, right? We know that there's drift from a long period of time, recording, right? So we apply our high-pass filter, right? We did these things because we're trying to get to the data we're trying to get the data in the way that we need it in order to make sense of the brain activity to resolve our hypotheses. Okay, so we have to do all these sort of what we call pre-processing steps. Sound good? Everybody on board? Awesome. You guys are doing really good. Isn't it a lot easier when all the computers work? Yeah. Okay. So, what we're going to do next is we need to cut the data into epochs, right? We're interested in what happens related to the onset of certain events of interest, right? When our stimuli appears on the screen. So, let's take a look at that. The way that we can do that is we go to our folder or our menu for ERPLab. Okay? So here you went to menu, went to ERPLab. Within that, we're going to select the option for extract bin-based epochs. Okay? So as it's suggesting, we're pulling out epochs in the data. Okay? Now let's see, click on that and let's see what happens. Oh, no it does. We gotta create an events list first. Well, golly. We want to epoch the data not just in one long slice, but we want to slice it up into all of our events, right? Why wouldn't it let us do that? What did the message say? We got to give it a list of all of our events. Now, ERPLab calls that an events list, right? So, what this means is that, remember all of our combinations? Remember there are 75 combinations of events that we said? You have 61, 62, 63, followed by the item judgment and the source judgment. That made a 4-digit number that there were 75 possible combinations of. Everybody remember we talked about that? Now, what you need to do then, or what the system is asking us to do, is give it a list of all the events that you wanted to cut the data into pieces of. So we need to give it a list of those 75 events. How many of you guys feel like writing that right now? Probably not? No bueno? Alright. Good, because I already wrote it for you. And we will have that I'll show you just how we will go about that, okay? So here's what we're going to do. It looks like we kind of jumped the gun in coming down here to bin-based epics. The first thing it might ask us to do is create an events list. So let's click on that, and it'll give you another little sidebar option. Okay, so we're going to go to event list, and we're going to click on the option here for the very first one for create an events list. Everybody with me? Why don't you hit that right there? Okay, it's going to bring up a little menu option for us. Yes?
Yeah.
What? Okay, did you replace the old version of ERPLab with the new version today?
Yeah.
Let's take a quick look. Version 6 here, that's not what the instructions say. We did it. Well, here, let me help you. So, probably try to delete that now. Try to delete that now. Probably won't let us do this. Yeah. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to shut down MATLAB, delete it, because it's using it right now. It's not going to delete something that's using it. So just shut down your MATLAB and then delete that folder, and then you'll have to catch up. Okay. It didn't work out here either? Okay, I didn't find that.
Yeah. We extracted it. Same page over here.
Did anybody else get their message? Holy jeez.
We all did. I think we all did.
Goodness, okay. Well, we're gonna have to fix that up. Okay, we'll fix that up. What could have happened on that? You guys all have this version 5.1.1.0?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll sort this out. We'll sort this out, yes. I think you might not be able to. Are these still zip files? Or is it folder? Maybe Maybe it wasn't extracted from the zip file. Okay, so, yes. Okay, let's try something else out here. We'll see if we can work around this. And 5.1.0, let's we're gonna have to do first is we can come to go to www.erpinfo.org. Okay. We're just going to download ERPLab. Okay, that'll take just a second. Sometimes it acts a little funky, and sometimes I've noticed in other classes when I've taught this, when I give a folder to people, it'll work at first, but then it'll give an error message like this, and it works just fine if you download it yourself from the original site. I don't know why that is the case. I've just noticed that this is one solution that we can use as a workaround. Question, Vic? No. Okay. So if you come to erpinfo.org, this is the website of that Dr. Luck has. He wrote the textbook, he wrote a lot of the software. That's actually Steve Luck there with his assistant in the cabinet applying some ERPs. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to navigate to download that. And we're going to go to ERPLab Toolbox. Okay. So you're going to go there. And we're going to scroll down to the option of download. Okay, we're going to click on that. And you are not going to download the newest version because it probably still has some bugs in it. We are going to scroll down even further. And we're going to find 5. Let's try this one here. That is 5.1.1.0. Okay. And grab that one. Hit the download button. Okay. Now while that's happening, we're going to need, once that's downloaded, we're going to have to paste that into our EEGLab plugins folder. It will not let us delete the existing version because it's being used by MATLAB right now. So we need to shut down MATLAB, just X out, kill all of MATLAB. Back to our folder. Okay. Within there, we're going to. So see how this is my existing folder of 5.1.1.0. It's within Site 433X, within our EEGLab folder, within the folder for plugins. I'm going to highlight this and I'm just going to delete it. Okay. Now, what I can do is I can go to my downloads folder, right click on the folder I just downloaded, browse to the spot that I want to put that at, which is right plugins. So what this is doing is just replacing that folder that we had. Yes, sir. Yeah. Is this working out for you guys?
So you want
Delete the existing one, because something's funky. It's not working over here. So, just pop it back. And I will make sure that
No, I haven't yet. I'm really going. I know, so that's
okay, let's kind of keep that to a minimum. I know we have downtime in class, but is this working out for everybody? Anybody having trouble?
we just click.
It should be done downloading. It's a really short, quick thing.
We did.
Down just a little bit. Spot where it says down. Okay, so has everybody finished this? Has anybody not finished? Okay. What? You guys are good? You caught up? When you're done, you can reopen up MATLAB and make sure you have your path set and that it should be a little bit good. Yes. So let's finish right here. Yeah, you already delete the old version?
Some technical differences. Yeah. Do you think we will finish them? Like, she's already done. Huh?
Working good for you? Did you apply channel operations? Did you apply the channel location?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, you didn't? That's not channel location.
No, I mean,
Do you have like a collection of those little models?
For my provision, I have like
You can't see it.
That's what I'm doing. Because I noticed you had it on Monday.
yeah. Sometimes I get too many
No, I literally did you delete it all the way to Starbucks at my house. Yeah. I literally got mad at my dad because I had this mug of mine in my nose. But it's like, it looks like, you know, when you take crayons and like oh, I don't have crayons and they sit down. Yeah. It's like that, but on the cup. It's a little design from the Starbucks. And it's just a mug. It's like, I don't know. My dad was taking the mug and was like, that's my mug. That's mine. I use it. And he's like, oh, like, we're doing it. Oh, yeah, I've been using it. I need my coffee for a 9:20 a.m. Fuck you.
So you have it back or is that?
Yeah, we need to back up. Well, no, especially because I'm like, dude, we got like 3 weeks for Christmas. In the last like 3 years, we got like 3 or 4 new travel mugs. And we got it like 1 year, it was great because we got one of these little like cups that for like, it looks like a regular like soda cup. There's a washable one. We got him one that was black and very, very sparkly letters. Somebody stole it. So why you don't trust me? Where to go? Because those
So you want to keep notes on the steps?
yeah.
Okay, good.
But yeah, Diane,
Because now,
she took it to work.
have notes on how to do what we're talking about. And I say, hey, go again. Because now this is kind of that time. How are you guys doing? Everybody, you guys good? Okay. You guys good? You should be done with this. But that shouldn't have to be a whole download. You just get your license. Just reassociate the license. Okay, we'll work with that. Okay, we just work together with what can I do now, please?
We're trying to move it to her, so the file.
Is this the logo that Yeah, you did. You have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, something's wrong here. We should talk about that in class. Okay, that's okay. We'll look at this thing. No valid. Okay, so it sounds like most people, you guys good back? I can't hear you. Yeah? Okay, good. It should only take a minute to do, and so that'll be good. So when you're done, do what we already did. Load in the file, apply the channel locations. You guys, I'm just do those two things for now. Yes. So I'll just write this again over. Again, we're gonna file. It works? Awesome. Don't go forward. Okay, awesome. Does it work?
I just don't
For what?
to like.
Don't do anything more than what we talked
Just leave
about.
this alone.
Just do exactly what we talked about.
So just this. Leave it.
Perfect. Perfect.
We good.
Everybody good? Ladies in the back?
Oh, it's just load up for ERPLab and then create.
How do you guys do this? Work?
Did you already set the? Yeah, no, the top. That looks pretty low.
Good job. You guys said you're okay.
Yeah, I was like, I got so fired. Can I keep this or do you want that? No. That's how I don't. It's done. Can I keep this or do you think that?
You got this here?
Just don't stay.